Hey guys, this is Brianna Swaggerty, and today I wanted to talk about something that is very important to me and something that might be of assistance to you. So, I've been thinking a lot about emotional intelligence, and as I was driving my car today, I was thinking about the impact and importance of emotional intelligence on mood disorders and mood dysregulation. And I think it's worth noting that when we say mood, so I'll just like preface this by saying that I think that our way of processing emotions, at least in the West, or I don't know what kind of maybe cultural or familial um, way of doing things or processing things is very binary. So it's very like good or bad, right? And we all know this. Like there's emotions that feel good, there's emotions that feel bad, but I don't remember which one I did first. But when we have a mood versus an emotion, a lot of times the mood is like all like, okay, I'm in a good mood, right? Or I'm in a bad mood. So there's not a whole lot of like room for uh, different emotions within that mood, right? There's not a lot of like curiosity about what's going on within that mood. And so this is where I think uh, the emotional the tool of emotional intelligence comes in, because if you're really able to dissect and understand what encompasses the mood, then there's a lot more likelihood of being able to use that information um, and have it benefit you. So that's the whole purpose of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, I don't think, is just to be able to say, like, oh, like, I know how I'm feeling or I know how someone else is feeling. I think that's definitely part of it, because when you're more aware of yourself, because I think when you're more aware of yourself, you're more aware of another person's emotions as well, or at least what that person might be feeling, because you kind of can relate it to when you felt that way, or like what you would be feeling if you're going through what they were feeling. So it really lends itself to a lot of empathy. But so a lot of times emotional intelligence is kind of made out to be this purely social thing. Like if you have emotional intelligence, then you'll be able to interact in this way in this setting. But a lot of it, we're not using emotional intelligence for things like your own personal growth, your own personal um, development, and uh, like really being able to actually change your life by your emotions, by knowing and listening to your emotions. And yeah, it's like it's it's a lot simpler than people make it out to be. So um, like what I was saying with mood disorders, if you have a mood disorder, there are there's a lack of awareness, first of all, of what you're feeling most of the time. uh, Even though you might say like I've been there, where I'm like in like I struggled with very much mood dysregulation. And when I was in that, whether it was high or low, I could not even tell you why I was feeling that way. Like I maybe could have like a vague idea, or like a general like, oh, like life just sucks, or like life is great. But I didn't know, like I couldn't I couldn't see beyond that big overwhelming feeling of whatever it was, like good or positive or negative, right? um so I think the real trick in it all is to be able to identify what emotions there are, um and not to reject them. So a lot of times we think of like accepting an emotion as like choosing to feel it, right? Like if I accept that I feel guilty, then I have to feel guilty, right? But no, like you're just literally acknowledging it. So when you can acknowledge where you're at and like what actual emotions are in this big emotion of, like, let's say you're in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood. What is that bad mood made up of? And then you can navigate it more, right? So like if you're let's say a bad mood is like a I don't know, like the first thing that came to me was like fog and like a forest of trees, right? Like there's a dense fog that comes down over a forest of trees. And if you're not going to go anywhere if all you see is the fog and you cannot see the trees at all. You don't know how to navigate. You can't navigate. You're like, or even like let's say that it's so foggy that all you think, like you just think there's fog, like you don't even know there's trees, you don't know there's anything else around, there's just this dense fog that laser like comes over you, and you think, okay, I just have to wait for the fog to pass, right? Or you try to like run away from the fog and you end up running into trees, like boom boom boom, you know, because you don't see the trees there. And this is a horrible analogy because it really doesn't like all the little pieces of the analogy aren't like, yeah, they're not perfect. So if you can identify the trees, let's say the emotions are trees, if you can identify these specific emotions that are there, then you can navigate them better. I mean, it's still going to be hard. It's not going to be like, oh my God, now I feel like rainbows and butterflies and sunshine because I identified my emotions. No, it's not going to be like that. You just are able to see it. It's clear, because that's one of the things about, like, if you struggle with mood dysregulation, it's not clear. Like, that's why you're struggling with it, because you don't know what's going on, right? Like, no one goes to a therapist and they're like, I know exactly, you know, if you knew exactly what your problem was, you would know how to fix it, right? Like you're 90% there when you know what your problem is. And you just think, I have really bad moods, and then I have really good moods, or maybe it's all the time bad. But then that's when they come in with a chemical. They say, okay, take this chemical, and I'm not poo-pooing it 100%, because I know it helps people if they're really struggling, if you're really in a bad place and struggling with really deep feelings and things like that, that there's a place for that, totally. But when you're like, you're not in that complete and utter, or even like when you are in that complete and utter despair, it's good to practice emotional intelligence and to try to help yourself in any way you can to get into a better place, right? And then you learn your emotional intelligence, you make the changes in your life based on that, and then you can have a better overall outcome, and you won't need to rely on something to kind of like sort of artificially stimulate those positive emotions in your head, in your body. So yeah, when you can know your emotions, you can better navigate them. So if you say like you have a big fog, bad emotion, if you can identify that the trees in there, it's like, okay, that one is guilt. I feel guilt. What do I feel guilty about? I feel guilty about this. And then you can really look at and say, okay, well, then you can talk to yourself about it. Like you're having an intelligent conversation with your emotions. That is the basis of emotional intelligence. You are having a conversation with your emotions. How do you get more intelligent in any area? If you get more kinesthetically intelligent, it's because you're working out, you're doing things with your body, right? If you get more mentally intelligent, it's because you're working out your mind, your brain, you're like reading, and maybe you're solving puzzles or whatever, like you're stimulating your mind. If you're getting emotionally intelligent, you are actually working with your emotions. You are having dialogue with your emotions and learning from them, right? And so, yeah, that's what it is. Emotional intelligence, emotional learning from your emotions. And so they have something to tell you, right? So if you're feeling guilty, you can say, okay, well, what am I exactly feeling guilty about? Okay, do I consent to feeling guilty about this? Like, is there something for me to feel guilty about? And if so, what do I need to do about that? Is there something I want to do about that? So that I can either release the guilt and forgive myself, or maybe the guilt belongs with someone else, but you are taking it on, or do I need to apologize? Is there something that I need to repair in this relationship? Is there something I need to repair in this situation? And you can move forward. You can actually resolve situations in your life and not just feel this massive weight of a bad thing, like crushing. Things are only crushing. Your emotions can only crush you when you don't know what they are. If you do, if you know what they are, you're slowly poking like holes in it, right? Like if it's this big um thing, like balloon or whatever, like just laying on you, or like something, you're slowly poking holes in it, and it's deflating, and the emotions don't have power over you when you know what they are. So like in this book that talks about how, tactics for war and stuff, it says um to know to know your enemy. If you know yourself and you know your enemy, you are sure to be like triumphant. So if you know yourself and you know your enemy, like your enemy is like what you consider this bad mood, this like, or even if you have a heart struggle with mania and having like extremely elated like emotions and stuff, but like you're not sure why, like it just kind of comes on all of a sudden, like there's still stuff to piece apart there. Like maybe what are you running from? What emotions are you running from there? Because I've been there, and it's like there it's never like a pure like peace and devotion and love. It's like, oh, like this hyper, oh, like mania. You're kind of, it's almost a flight state. You're kind of running away from something, or you're running away from emotion or a situation. um and so yeah, so whether you're in a high or a low, that is going to serve you to be aware and intelligent when it comes to your emotions. um and you can navigate them and know what they're doing to you, know what they're trying to communicate to you, and not just go with it. So it's like, it's almost like you're parenting them. So like if you have a child and they're just like, "Mommy, I want ice cream. Mommy, I want to go to the park," or "Mommy, I want da da da." Like you can say, "Okay, they want ice cream. That means they're hungry." That like, and is it a good thing for them to have ice cream right now? You have to like intelligently navigate that. You can't just let these children run your life, right? Like you parent them and you learn from them, right? They tell you what they need. So that's my little blurb on emotions and regulating moods, and I hope this serves you. Thank you.